Good morning, Year 7s. As you can see, I've got a little helper helping me out again today. And this is lesson 4 of week 15. So well done. You're going to watch me do a little experiment on soluble and insoluble substances. We're also going to use the terms solution and suspension. Hopefully you've all got the worksheet there, so that you can write down your observations. Now before we start, you did need to write an aim. An aim, there are 3 options to start your aim with: to observe, to investigate, and to compare. Once you've done that, you'll be ready to write down your observations of this experiment. Also, the column that says clear or cloudy, you need to write either clear or cloudy. And coloured, don't just write yes or no. Can you please write the actual colour if it's a yes? These substances that you can see in front of you, you can actually probably find all of these in your home. So if your parents were okay, you could probably try out this part of the experiment yourself. All you would need is a couple of glasses of water and the different substances, even if you just tried a couple of them. Alrighty, let's go. Whoops. Paraffin wax, also known as candle wax. Now I'm going to show you how to mix chemicals in a test tube. This is a really easy way. You don't need to use a stirring rod, and it works very, very well. So I'm going to have to do this with all of them. Okay, I'll give you a close-up view. They've been sitting there for about 3 minutes. So quick mix before I show. Maybe that's... Salt. Paraffin wax or candle wax. Okay, so I hope you've been able to make your observations of those 6 common household substances. We're going to go and do another 5. Part 2 of the soluble-insoluble experiment is to use a few chemicals that are found in the prep room. Apart from oil, you could use vegetable oil. That's an additional one that I just put in there. You don't have to actually write down any observations on the vegetable oil. I'm also going to show you this time what the powder looks like. Oh, sorry, copper sulfate. Copper sulfate, beautiful blue. Potassium permanganate, just wait for that one, hold your horses. Calcium carbonate, it's another white, it's a white powder. Magnesium carbonate, it's a finer white powder. Maybe you could even do a little bit of a prediction. Which ones do you think are going to dissolve, be soluble, and which ones are going to be insoluble? And there's our oil. Now the potassium permanganate, it's going to be really hard to show you what it looks like because it's in a brown bottle, but they're tiny, tiny purple crystals. You won't be able to probably see that until I add it to the water. They're really dark purple at the moment. Make sure you're watching the second test tube. Here we go. Okay, I'm adding calcium carbonate now. Magnesium carbonate. Oh, look, that's a bit different than the other one. And our oil. There was only 5. I had an extra. Ooh, look at that. I've got to stir them up now, guys. Let's try that. Okay, Yr7s, I've let them sit for a little bit. I'll give you a close-up view now. So this is the copper sulfate. Has it all dissolved? Is there a colour change? Was the copper sulfate potassium permanganate? How cool. Calcium carbonate. Is it clear? Is it cloudy? Can you see that down the bottom? So did it dissolve? Magnesium carbonate. Bottom of the test tube. And our oil. I just want to show you the flour from the previous practical. It's been sitting there for a little while now. So you can see all the sediment down the bottom because I let it sit. And the particles have settled to the bottom of the test tube, which we call a sediment. So don't forget, you could probably do a lot of those at home as long as you get your parents' permission. To finish off the rest of the experiment, you will need to do a discussion. The questions are on the handout sheet for you. There are 4 questions. You can just write it on the sheet. And then there's a fill in the blank section, and I have the keywords there for you, so you just need to find the right spot to put in the keywords. And then there's a conclusion. Remember in your conclusions, please don't personalise. Don't use I, we or us. Well, you didn't do the experiment. You also can't write Miss O'Brien. So keep it general. You're going to want to use keywords like solution, solute, solvent, soluble, insoluble, suspension, sediment, and give examples from the experiment that you have just watched. Okay guys, wishing you all the best for another week. My little helper here is a little booby. Who thought it was a mouse? That's all folks, bye.